Okay, so today we are going to talk about Google Colab. Now there are a few errors with Google Colab around mounting Google Drives. The answers seem to be all over the place, and it seems most solutions don't work. When you try to mount your Google Drive in a Google Colab that is written by somebody else, it is unable to get access to any data that is on the drive. As I said, there are several solutions to this problem, so we are going to discuss the different solutions. I believe these errors are not caused by a race condition as some have suggested. Please take a few minutes to review this problem and current solutions with me, and then we will discuss my solution, which seems to work all the time. If you like what you hear, then please keep hitting that like button until your mouse breaks. If your mouse breaks, then get a new one and hit it again. I greatly appreciate it. This helps me out a lot and enables me to bring more content that is to your liking. One of the ways that was suggested to fix the problem of Google Drives not mounting properly in Google Colab was to avoid having lots of folders in the root of the Google Drive. They say the root issue is caused by a race condition. Unfortunately, I was unable to get it to fix the issue. It does sound plausible though, and it is a simple fix and worth a try for sure. Another potential fix is to change where it says drive.mount, content, gdrive. Change it to content, drive to. This seemed to work for me once, but did not work subsequently. I do not really know why it worked once, then would not work after that, but this method is worth a try as well. The first time you run it, you should click on the link next to, go to this URL in a browser, and then allow it access to your drive. Once you allow it access, it gives you a big long scrambled code. It's hidden in this image. Basically, you're allowing the Colab access to your drive. You copy the code and paste it into the box. That is, you enter it into Google Colab. You paste the authorization code right in the box. Once entered, it should connect to the drive. It should say that it is mounted, but if you go further on after you run a couple of these other sections that I am showing here, it's going to take a few moments for each section. It will likely show this message. Cannot copy no such file or directory. This problem does not occur in just one Google Colab. This happens on all of them, so it seems. The result is that you cannot connect, and their solution was to go up here after you have tried it once and try reconnecting the drive under a different name like content/drive to. Unfortunately, it is likely to still not work. It says that it is mounted, but it is not in fact mounted. Sometimes it says a different message instead. It says no transport is available and it does not connect. Sometimes it does not show the message and just works. Some people have indicated that this actually fixes it, and the drive becomes visible to the Colab. This does not always work, and it did not work for me. As you can see here, it did not work here. Another thing they suggest is to add a line here. To tell it to disconnect the drive by adding the line I am showing. To make it easier, I have included the command in the text below the video. This flushes the mount and remounts it. For me, this does not seem to make it come up. This is the race condition suggested by some Google staff. By disconnection of the drive and reconnecting the drive, it sometimes works. This solution did not work for me either. My solution is a little different. What you want to do is to copy the Git repository to your Google Drive in whatever path you choose. For simplicity, I chose the root of my Google Drive. For this, you will need to install Git. On Windows, you should install Anaconda and pip, followed by an upgrade of pip, then install Git, and then clone the repository onto the Google Drive. For this, you will need to Google Drive Backup Client. If need be, to make it easier, you can clone the repository locally and then copy it to the Google Drive folder. For me, I find it easier just to install the Google Drive Sync client and change to the Drive Sync mounted path, that you have chosen when setting it up inside a command shell. Then clone the repository directly. Download backup and sync and run the installer and choose a location for the local copy of the sync folder. By the way, this is a great idea for making a backup. If you want to maintain your privacy on your backup files, you should encrypt them before copying these backup files to the sync folder. So once the files are on the Google Drive, you can then reference them inside the Google Colab. Put all the files associated with the project, such as Git files and images and trained model files and training, testing and sample data under one folder. Like if there's a PTH file associated with the trained AI model, you would put this file in the folder that contains the cloned repository. You put all the files associated with the project on the Google Drive, and then you just reference that location inside the Google Colab. So after the paths are set up properly, it probably still will not run. Next, for my solution, I set up the permissions on the folder inside of Google Backup and Sync folder. Right-click on the folder. Go to Advanced Security Property folder as I am showing in the video. Disable inherited permissions on the folder, and then you convert the permissions to explicit permissions by clicking on that top option. And then you would add user, all capital letters, full permission to this folder. Then you would add everyone, again with all capital letters. You add full modify read, full permission to this folder. Next, click apply to this folder, subfolders and files. It probably is not necessary to add both users and everyone, because everyone includes users. I am going to do it anyway. There, and you apply to all folders and files. Remember, select the folder for the project only. You do not want to give full permissions to everything on your drive. So basically you had added everyone full permission to this folder, and then you applied the changes. So as you can see here, it actually found the folder and was able to list the folders. After that, it is all about setting up the proper paths in the rest of the Colab. You should also make a copy of the Colab and put it on your Google Drive before running it. That way, if anything changes with the Colab, you can kind of preset it in the copy that seems to work. Save it under a different name frequently. There is another solution on the subject of drive connection failure. Google suggests changing the authentication method, but it seems overly complicated and poorly documented. I could not get that working, and it is very difficult to follow the solution, and the directions were not complete. So maybe that would work as well with enough knowledge. But adding the permissions works for me and allows me to use the labs. I am also going to suggest that you do not run on the GPU all the time. Once you get it working, then only then should you run it on the GPU. You do this by changing the settings on the notebook like I am showing here. Select standard runtime. Do not select TPU unless you really need it, because it really gets them angry. It uses a lot of resources. So the first time you run through it, select the standard method and run through it, then on a final pass run it on the GPU if it's required. The other thing you want to do is go under runtime menu option and select manage sessions and terminate the sessions when you're done. This is very important, otherwise it uses resources other people can be using and will keep the whole system from being trashed by Google. Another thing that you should also do is, if you plan to use a lot of resources, is to get Colab Pro. If you are going to use a lot of resources, it will cost you $99 a year, plus your storage space. I obtained 2 terabytes on Google Drive for $20 a year. You are going to need a lot of space to do these models, especially if you are training them. The other thing is, you should probably not actually train them on the Google Colab. Instead, get a dedicated instance for training them, because they really do not like it when you use it for that purpose. It takes a lot of resources and time, and they tend to just disconnect you when they need the resources for something else. Thank you very much. Good luck. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this video. Let me know any other topic suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe and also to click that like button with a sledgehammer, and let your friends know about this channel.